Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Did everybody sleep well last night?
Yes.
Personally, I got a good 45 minutes in myself, so I'm doing great today. Now, the reason I ask, in addition to just being generally interested, is today's sermon is all about dreams, with a specific emphasis on how our own higher guidance and our loved ones will connect with us through dreams. But how many of you, let me see a quick show of hands, how many of you remember your dreams? It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's a very natural part of our sleep patterns, but not everybody remembers them all the time. And quite often, our own higher guidance, as well as our loved ones in spirit, will also use our dreams as a means to communicate with us. Sometimes it's to plant a seed in our minds, regarding a new path in life or maybe a new venture. Other times, it is all about healing and closure. Still other times, it can be about sending us a heads up or maybe a warning about something that's coming up in our lives. And it's a way to give us a chance to try and change or make changes to something that's coming that may not necessarily be what we consider the most positive. Beginning with civilizations such as the ancient Greeks and Romans, and then even moving forward to more modern times with Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, people have been fascinated by dreams. And honestly, how could something so enigmatic yet so common not be a fascinating thing for us? The ancient Greeks had a very in-depth and quite evolved belief system when it came to dreams and dreaming. They actually categorized their dreams in two different ways. The first type of dream that the Greeks believed was of a more mundane nature. An example of this first type actually comes to us from Charles Dickens, thanks to A Christmas Carol. Ebenezer Scrooge, when he's talking to Jacob Marley, he says, you may be an undigested bit of beef, or a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of underdone potato. There's more of gravy than a grave about you, whatever you are. And I know that Scrooge was awake in that moment, but it really kind of illustrates the point that I'm trying to make with the Greeks, is that sometimes a dream is just a dream. It's something that, it could be indigestion, it could be something of a more mundane cause. And so they kind of felt like that dream wasn't as important as the other type of dream that they classified as being much more significant. As early as the 5th century BCE, Herodotus, who was a Greek historian, he wrote that dreams had really 3 different classifications when it came to prophetic types of dreaming. In some instances, the dreams were quite literal. Showed the situations such as a death of a child or something that was really very literal to what was going to occur. Other times, there was a considerable amount of symbolism that is required for the dreamer to understand the significance of the dream. And the third type of prophetic dream in the Greek philosophies was that of a visit from a loved one. Most often, it was really to provide guidance or a warning of some kind. They strongly believed that after their loved ones physically died, that their loved ones would still maintain contact with our world even after they had moved on to what they believed of as the underworld. It's sort of our spiritualist version of Summerland, what we would call Summerland. Now, I'm just going to put it to you out there, gentle listeners in the congregation. Does the Greek philosophies on dreaming, especially with regards to loved ones in spirit, does that kind of sound similar to what we've been taught by spiritualism? Does it kind of sound similar to our own experiences? To me, it really does. And even though we have a more evolved understanding of how our loved ones in spirit, as well as our own higher guidance, work with us, at the root of our beliefs, though, it's actually quite similar. Now, moving forward, we're going to spend just a couple of minutes on Dr. Sigmund Freud and Dr. Carl Jung. Some of Freud's theories are not currently in favor. Some of them actually have come back around to get a new look from researchers, because Freud saw dreams as being the, quote, royal road to the unconscious. And I would actually agree with that statement. And I'm sure quite a few of us could, having kind of looked into how our dreams function. Freud felt that a lot of our repressed thoughts, feelings, and emotions could be expressed through our subconscious mind. And if it's something that we're trying to hide from our waking mind, our subconscious is going to get us to face it, whether we want it or not. And especially if it's something we're trying to hide from ourselves. So if you think about the times that you've been worried about something and you've been trying to put it out of your mind and you've been trying to just ignore it, not really deal with it, the soul part of us, or the intermediary part of us between our physical body and our spirit, is connecting with our subconscious mind to help us find the answers to whatever it is that is bothering us. Other times, through our subconscious, our dreams can be a form of wish fulfillment. I know we've all kind of had those kind of dreams too. If you are having recurring dreams about a certain situation from either the past or something that hasn't happened in real life, but you're dreaming about that situation because it's something you either want to have happen or that you want to have happen again, those dreams can be very difficult to ignore, and they can be very distracting because we wish so strongly for them. But that's also where looking to those dreams and understanding the hidden symbolism behind them can help you to move forward from it. In the same fashion, even though having a koshimar or a nightmare is not something anyone wants to deal with, it quite often is our soul part of us telling us that something is off. Even though your first inclination is to put those dreams out of your mind and just try and ignore them, which is usually easier said than done, we can learn quite a bit from those dreams. Now, while Freud tended to focus more on how dreams are a very individualized part of our subconscious, Carl Jung expanded on Freud's dream theories by also integrating the concept of archetypes. For anyone who has not heard that term before, or may not necessarily have studied psychology, archetypes are the term Jung gave for certain symbolism that is common to each of us through what he termed the collective unconscious. Now, the collective unconscious is sort of a repository or like a library for our individual experiences that we've all kind of shared. And in Jung's way of thinking, that's where each of us would psychically draw upon those experiences regarding certain imagery in order to help us to understand each other a little easier. So what does that mean in plain English? You know how you can talk about something that you saw in a dream, and then you can be describing it to someone else, even if it's something symbolic, and they can kind of have an understanding of what you're talking about? That is the collective unconscious. And that's what Jung really felt was important when it came to dreams. Our shared experiences throughout the past tie us all together into the ether so that we can connect with each other. Now, I know we've all had those dreams that almost seem to defy explanation. We've all had those really weird ones out there. But if we look at the symbolism, it can give us quite a bit of insight. I highly recommend finding a good dream dictionary, and this goes for anybody out there who's a budding medium as well. That symbolism can really be helpful if you can't quite understand what it is that you're being told. Now, the important thing with getting a dream dictionary or anything of that nature is to find one that really resonates with your own symbolism. If you are not necessarily somebody who's really all that religious, and you pick up a dream dictionary that is a very religious symbolism type dream dictionary, the odds are pretty good you're not going to really resonate with what it's telling you. So you kind of have to look through and find one that resonates with you. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah? Okay. A few of you nodded your head. Okay. Now, I've touched on this throughout my sermon, but let me directly address what the ancient Greeks, the Romans, Dr. Freud, Dr. Jung, they've all been talking about throughout this sermon. Quite often, our soul part of us, or, in some cases, our spirit, which is actually the higher part of our soul of us, is going to use our dreams as a means of connecting with us. So why would our loved ones, why would our higher guidance, why would our soul part of us all do this through dreams instead of directly connecting us with us while we're awake? That's actually a good question. And here's my answer. Look around. Now look left. Now look right. Now look up. Now look down. Do you see all the distractions just in your immediate vicinity right now? Okay, now think about for a moment the rest of your lives. We are all going and moving and thinking. So much thinking and overthinking going on. Not only is there an ever-increasing number of distractions out in our physical world, but our own thoughts will crowd out our attempts to help us become better, stronger, happier people. Because of this, infinite intelligence down through to our spirit guides, to our spirit, to our soul, to our loved ones, they need to use a time when our natural filters or our walls are kind of down, and sleep really is the most likely time that we're not too busy overthinking to listen to the guidance that we're given. So because of this, our own soul, our spirit, will use this time, as well as our spirit guides, angels, all of that higher guidance we have, they will use that time to make sure that we get the message. Of course, anytime you get people involved, it does get complicated. I'm sure we can all relate to that. That's why sometimes we have a hard time understanding our dreams. We may not always want to hear what is being said. I'm sure we can also relate to that one. But because we don't always want to hear it, sometimes our mind will garble the message a little bit. Our own wants, fears, and wishful thinking can cloud that message that's being given. We're only human after all. That's also why I suggest, again, a good dream dictionary. It really does come in handy. I also suggest having either a pad of paper and a pencil next to your bed, or, because we are in the 21st century, most of us will sleep with our cell phones next to our bed, or maybe a tablet or something of that nature. If you feel more comfortable just typing out your dream that you just had when you wake up into your electronic device, that works too. The key is to try and get it onto some sort of a record as quickly as possible before you start to forget the details. Now, I'm kind of curious. Can I get another show of hands? How many of you out there have dreamt about a loved one in spirit? All right, everybody here. Hey, I even got a foot in the air. All right. So, let me guess though, when you have that dream about your loved one, was it a little different feeling? Did it have a different flavor to it than a regular dream did? Did you wake up feeling like something very profound had happened, or feeling more like that great event, or even sometimes just feeling like something really emotional has happened, very cathartic? That is a great way to determine whether or not you've had a more mundane dream, as the Greeks and the Romans kind of talked about, or if you have experienced a true visit from a loved one.
And usually when you get up, you forget, and I did not forget.
Exactly, and you must be psychic. That's what I was just about to say. Quite often when we wake up, instead of the dream fading within a few minutes like a normal one would, that visit will occupy a large part of your thoughts and feelings for at least the rest of the day, if not the next few weeks.
Forever.
Exactly. To die, to sleep perchance to dream. There's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come. Even though Shakespeare's Hamlet may have been afraid of what happens after we shuffle off this mortal coil, our loved ones would like us not to fear and to know exactly how truly wonderful they are doing. That is also why, when we are blessed with a visit from them, they always seem so happy, healthy, at peace, and whole again. It's because they are. Our loved ones will get our attention in dreams to also provide us with guidance and healing through any difficult situation we may find ourselves faced with. Again, now if you're not really sure that you have been visited, look to how you feel when you have been awoken from your slumber. If you can't specifically remember what it is that you dreamt about, just kind of go back to how you're feeling in that moment. Do you feel different? Do you feel like something has profoundly changed for you? If that is the case, you can rest assured that you've had a dream, or had a visit, I should say, that you have had a visit and not a dream. Now, if you don't necessarily feel like your loved ones have visited, don't feel badly. Make a specific point of consistently asking your loved ones to come visit you when you are asleep, and ask that you be allowed to remember the dreams. It might kind of sound like semantics, but in my experience, it really does make a difference. Right before you go to sleep, say a few kind words to your loved ones and ask that they be with you. Then trust. That's the hard one for everybody. Trust that when the time is right and when you are truly open to it, that they will come to visit you. Don't stress. Don't obsess. Don't worry about if they're there. Just know that they are with you. If you don't feel like you've been visited by a loved one, please don't despair. Know that we here at the Christabelle Spiritualist Church, we can help. If you would like to contact a loved one in spirit, we can help with that. Spiritualism teaches us that life and love go on beyond the physical change that we call death. Let us here be the cell phone to spirit for you. Or, better yet, why don't you come here and learn to be your own best cell phone to spirit? We'd love to have you here. Come back to Christabelle and come grow with us. Thank you.